You can catch the full Foreign Correspondent episode tonight at 8 p.m. on ABC TV and, of course, on ABC iView. Let's get back to the election campaign now. And the inner Western Sydney seat of Reid is expected to be a tight race. It has a high proportion of voters with Chinese heritage. Labor's Sally Situ won the seat last election with a margin of 5.2%. The Liberals' loss was blamed on the fractious relationship the Morrison government had with China. Now, we've reached out to Ms Situ, and while she has said yes to other ABC requests, she has declined to be interviewed on the ABC News channel during this campaign. The Liberal candidate this election is Grange Chung, and he joins me now in the studio. Grange, welcome.
Gemma, thank you for having me.
Now, both leaders are on your home ground today in Sydney. Cost of living, no doubt, to feature heavily in the first of the leaders' debates. What can they expect on that? Well,
cost of living is an absolute priority for the people of Reid. People are particularly concerned about interest rates and inflation and the effect that it's having both on housing and on their daily commodities. I think there'll be further discussion about energy and the plans to reduce energy costs, because this is affecting families and businesses. I think that will be the focus. There also probably be discussion about disposable income, which has been affected. You know, we're seeing the largest decline of disposable income since 1959, and people in Reid are really feeling it. There's also great concern about standard of living. You know, we've got the greatest decline of standard of living amongst developed nations, and this is something that this Prime Minister has to answer for.
Now, expert analysis puts Western Sydney as a make-or-break region for the election. Tell us, what's the nature of this battle?
Again, it's related to cost of living. People in Western Sydney are families with mortgages who are paying rent. 45% are Reid renters, but they're also business owners, small business owners in particular. We've seen 29,000 businesses collapse nationally, and these businesses are owned by families and they employ a number of families. So the impact of the cost of living crisis, particularly on those which, to be honest, don't have a lot of disposable income in the first place, is particularly acute.
Now, on to today's announcement from Labor. This is pledging $1 billion in mental health support, campaigning on relatively comfortable ground. And I understand that some of that support would go to your electorate. Is that correct?
Well, we would welcome any support on this issue, but I would point out that Mr Albanese cut subsidised mental health sessions by half, by 50%. And that's why Mr Dutton has pledged to spend $500 million restoring those original subsidised mental health sessions. Furthermore, we've already announced we're going to spend $400 million on youth mental health through the Headspace organisation. And, you know, being a veteran and mental health, as you know, is a big issue amongst the veteran community. So I think that we need to restore that funding and increase that funding. And I want to see Mr Albanese do it. I hope that it's not a fake promise, like the $275 power bill reduction.
As I said, that's relatively comfortable ground for Labor. How do you view Peter Dutton's backflip on work from home? Do you think that cost a few days on the campaign trail?
I actually think it's really good. I think it's responsive, and this is what a government should be. What I was actually really worried about was the misinformation associated with it. This was only associated with camera-based public servants. It didn't affect the private sector, which of course we've always supported to make their own arrangements. But fundamentally, I think a government must be responsive, must listen to people, and I think this is a great display that we are prepared to listen to people and act on what we're hearing.
Now, on cost of living, contrasting with that, there was a tabloid article in recent days about an apartment that you purchased in one of Japan's best ski resorts. Has that been damaging to you in your local area with people struggling to buy a home, pay the rent?
Well, no, because, you know, what we're trying to do this for is for aspirational Australians. We want people to get into housing. We want people to make investments. That's a fundamental tenet of the Liberal Party. We don't want to hold people back. We want them to be rewarded for their hard work.
And as to campaigning, we've got the traditional door knocking. The Guardian has reported that you were one of a handful of candidates interviewed by Chinese language influencers on the social media app Red Giant. So who are you trying to reach on that, and is it working?
Look, I have a range of engagement sources and methods with people that includes, you know, traditional methods, door knocking, getting to know people. Obviously, I have a social media presence, and as you know, and as you discussed earlier, we're a very diverse electorate. So I need to reach out to particularly, say, the Chinese community through the social media that they use, and we're going through all available channels in that regard.
And relations with China weren't good under the last Liberal government. Will voters in your electorate see that as an issue if, looking to cast their vote for the Liberals?
The China-Australia relationship must be a priority for any government. If for no other reason, then it's our number one trading partner. And that's why Tony Abbott, as Prime Minister, signed the free trade agreement with China. And that saw an increase in trade from $80 billion to more than $190 billion today.
Grange Chung, the Liberal candidate for Reid, thank you for coming in.
Gemma, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.